Bennington, Vermont is hard to describe in 3 or 4 verses, but I'm gonna try to tell you about a place that you ought to know, and if you haven't been there, then you ought to go. For over 250 years, the heart of Vermont has been right here, from the Catamount Tavern to the Four Corners Clock, from the Robert Frost Trail to the Putnam Block. Stand atop of our monument tall in any direction, taking all of the beauty of this magnificent land. If divided we'll fall, then united we'll stand.
Thank you again very much for being here. We're not sure how the weather's going to hold up, but it looks good, but I'm going to keep it very short before that. But I just want to say it's very exciting to be standing here in Merchants Park, which I've done many times. And it's got a long history of bringing a lot of joy to our community already. But the future for Merchants Park now is extremely exciting for not just downtown, but the entire community of Bennington. I would like to remind you that what you see here today got us to this point that we're ready to celebrate with a ribbon cutting, but the park is not done. There's a lot of landscaping to do, a lot of additional features to add, and we would like you, our largest supporters, to help us get us to the finish line. Over on this table over here are some donor envelopes, and if we're asking if you'd please take them with you to share with some family, friends, and coworkers, and hopefully get us to the finish line by next spring when we do our grand opening of the park. So I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to start off by introducing a very important person for not only Merchants Park, but for all of downtown Bennington, and that is the chairperson of the Grow Bennington Initiative, who I've had the pleasure of working with now for quite a few years on many projects downtown, not quite as exciting as this one, but I'm sure in the future many more. So who I'm going to introduce is Lynn Green, who Lynn, along with her husband Pete, are the owners of Four Chimneys, and Lynn is the chair of the Grow Bennington Initiative.
It is so nice to see so many just friendly faces out here and people that have been a part of this from the very beginning. So on behalf of the Grow Bennington Initiative, I just want to thank every single one of you. And from neighbors in the street who handed me $20 on the fly, to volunteers at the Fall Fun Day, to those of you who are here today as part of the ribbon cutting for our donor wall of donors. The donor wall will be installed next spring. I don't know if some of you remember, but when you bought your tile, that it's going to be over here where the food is now, which, by the way, come up and eat some food while we're talking. But that will happen in the spring, and it's all set to go. But every single one of you made a difference. And a very special thank you to our major sponsors who are cutting the ribbon here today. Bank of Bennington, Jim Brown, you were with us from the very beginning. Catamount Rotary, John Goodrich will be here to say a few words, and a special shout out to Ron Hoster and Jenica McAvoy. They were there from the very beginning as well. The families of Catamount Connections and Kayla Becker, the town of Bennington, and then Cindy Thompson and Brooke Thompson-Drew, and the whole Thompson-Drew family. So thank you for believing in this project from the very beginning and sticking with us. On a personal note, I also want to thank my now 10-year-old son, Aiden, who's turned around there, who when he was 8 raised $1,200 for this park. And then he was extra excited when the Bank of Bennington matched that. He sold parking spots at Garlic Fest. And more importantly, Aiden shared an awful lot of his mom's time over the past 3 years when we started the Grow Bennington Initiative in 2017. But finally, I want to take a minute to thank some of the behind-the-scenes contributors who really took on a heavy lift. Paul Dansrow, Mark Sawyer and RJ Jolly and their teams from the town of Bennington. Paul, if it weren't for Corona, every one of us on the task force would be smothering you with hugs right now. He and his teams were so instrumental in getting this over the finish line. Tom D., Leslie Keefe, and Jim Trimarchi from SVMC, who have been with us from the very beginning. Amanda Monks and Joe Miles of RK Miles for their unwavering support. Dan Monks and John Shanahan, who have been champions from the beginning. It's not too much longer. Jeff Goldstone and Jack Beyer of Goldstone Architecture for their vision. And I know we didn't execute all of your wonderful vision because we weren't quite able to do it all, but we are so thrilled with your vision and how you got us to where we are. The Bennington Banner for sharing this journey with our community. Greg Van Houten of GBH, who you just heard his beautiful song. Ben Aola of Berkshire Sign. And then Steve Tatro of Tatro Concrete and Jamie and Vicki Jerome of Jerome Construction. The cobblestone promenade that Tatro did, and the grass and the trees and the initial landscaping really look fantastic. Maru Leone, who I had lunch with 3 years ago, and she was going to help just a little bit, and this has really become her other full-time job, so really a big thank you to Maru. Christiana Salem, whose positive energy is endless and just simply makes things happen. And to all of my fellow task force members, the moms who have made this happen. Lee Jacobs, who you'll see here, Vicki Jerome, Kayla Becker, Alicia Holden, Betsy Woods, Nicole Sauer, Kim Wasick, Shannon Barsati, and Zervat Chowdhury, and Michael McDonough, even though he's a dad, not a mom. So while the whole community couldn't be here due to COVID, we really look forward to having a grand opening celebration soon, but we're very happy that we could have this small ribbon cutting celebration today with our donor wall contributors. So thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm Kayla Becker, and I was actually going to let Valerie go first, but as John was reading this message, I was like, who is this person that's saying exactly what I want to say? It's Zerwa, of course, because I brought this idea to Zerwa, and we worked really closely together on it, so I'm so glad she was able to articulate it so well, like she always did. So I lived in Arlington for my whole life, and then I grew up and went to Virginia, and I had kids there, and one of the things I had in Virginia was a sense of community and acceptance of people with young children. And while Vermont was near and dear to my heart, when I moved back here with my own kids, I couldn't figure out where that was. So I set out to find other people who felt the same way, one of them being Valerie, and we got together and started talking to more families. And we had this commonality that we all wanted, a place that we could get together to bring our kids to feel comfortable and not scared to be out. And you know, we did a bunch of little things, but for this project, we had moms and dads donating $1 all the way up to securing funds from a grant that we wrote together, and that just shows that everything coming together made this happen. I'm super excited my kids couldn't be here today, but I'm so excited that they are still children while this project is done. I wasn't sure if they were going to be, but they are, and I'm just so grateful to everybody. They didn't understand, it's not buckets, it's not a water slide, it's just a place that you can bring your kids, and your grandpa, my dad better be here with my kids, having picnic, and thank you for seeing it through with us.
So, 4 years ago, I was very, very heavily pregnant with my third daughter. And Kayla said, come to a meeting at Willow Park. And I said, I do not have time for this. Because one meeting led to another meeting, led to another meeting, and overnight trips, and phone calls. And I don't know how many times I tried to opt out on her, but she kept saying, just take this one more phone call. If you don't want to continue, just one more phone call. And then we ended up writing Catamount the grant that got Catamount Connections here and the grant that started this process. And little by little, I slowly built this community that I had missed the whole time I had my two older kids. This community of moms and dads that were here for me when things got hard. This community of moms and dads that showed up at my house with Dunkin' Donuts when I said, "Oh my God, it's been a day," and they just came. This community that I had grown up in, but had never seen come and wrap their arms around me and tell me that we've got your back. And that's why we wanted to bring a place in the middle of downtown Bennington for moms and dads and grandparents to all gather together and wrap their arms around each other, not during COVID, and enjoy their children, because it's such a short amount of time. So thank you, Kayla. And then I want to also say thank you to Brooke Drew, because I walked up to her after Kayla and I talked about bringing a splash pad to Bennington, and she said, "Let's do this." And we did it. It's here. That's it. Thanks, guys.
I am John Goodrich, and I'm here as the president of Catamount Rotary, which is one of the major donors to this project. And the people out there that might talking to me, I have to shut that off, is Jenica Mavoy. She's here. She was president at the time and a promoter of this park, which we all are, but she was the one that asked us to give the donation. There was Peter Seward, who also was president afterwards, that we should give credit for from Catamount's point of view. I'm thrilled because I think it's something that Bennington needs. I think it's great for downtown, and I think that we're lucky that the town people, they're all here, supported it so much through all of its turmoil. But even though I benefit or I recognize these people, there really is one person that deserves the credit, and that's Lynn Green. There is no way that this would have happened without Lynn. And so from my point of view, the honors go to them and the others and the donors and all of that, but she's had a hard time through this whole thing, and she did it right, and it still had a problem. So it was that's not normal. I want to thank everybody for having me up here. I'm the president. I have been president once before of Catamount. There are 2 Rotary clubs in this town, and there's Catamount and the Bennington. We're the Catamount, which is called the Morning Group. So thank you again. I won't take up any of your time, and congratulations on the success of all this. It looks fabulous to me.
Hi, I'm Cindy Thompson. This is my daughter, Brooke Thompson Drew. I am the owner of, as he said, Bennington Lanes and Northside Dairy Bar. The Thompson family arrived in Bennington in 1938, Bill and Minnie Thompson, as a matter of fact, from Lowell, Mass, to work in the Bennington textile industry. In 1952, they established Thompson Manufacturing. They manufactured men's t-shirts, children and ladies' underwear, mostly for the Sears Roebuck Company. My father-in-law, Ken, who was plant manager, often joked he was in ladies' underwear. My mother-in-law ran the mill office that's right there, the green building across the street, and sat in that left front window when she was working. The building was located then at the corner of Benmont Avenue across from Dewey Street. And back then, Benmont and Dewey didn't quite line up. You had to do a little zigzag when you drove through there. So when the mill went out of business, the church bought the property, and after it had been in business for nearly 30 years, the mill tore down the church tore down the actual mill, and the office was moved to its present location right there. After owning smaller businesses, my husband Bill and I purchased Bennington Lanes in 1980. Since the lanes were slow in the summer, Bill decided to start Northside Dairy Bar in 1996. Over the years, the dairy bar has been the first job of thousands of Bennington teens. My daughter Brooke has managed it since her dad's death in 2003. The Thompson family has been providing employment in Bennington and pumping money into its economy since 1952. On the other hand, Bennington has been good to the Thompson family. We are honored to be supporting this endeavor of Merchants Park and the Splash Pad. I personally have missed the concert series formerly held in this park. Now we have a real stage for it, and I'm glad it's already been christened. I know I'm looking forward to the businesses that will open once the Putnam Hotel project is complete. And I know my grandchildren who are here, Sadie and Jackson, will really enjoy the Splash Pad, and my littlest granddaughter over there, Miss Harper. So downtown is only a season away from being a great place to visit, and Bennington an even greater place to live. Enjoy it, everyone.
I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored that my mom selected this as one of the places that we were going to honor or celebrate and sponsor. I feel like I have a great pulse on our community, working at our two family businesses, Bennington Lanes and Billy T's Northside Dairy Bar. I see the community, I hear the community, I serve the community. I'm so happy that the community is going to get to enjoy this. All the community, kids, adults, grandparents bringing their kids. So I'm just excited. So everybody enjoy it. I'm happy, and congratulations to everybody that worked on this. Thank you to everybody that put all the hard work into this, and I can't wait. So the lights were gorgeous, the water was gorgeous. Woohoo, let's go.
We are so excited to have this done. We are so excited about the fact that this community asset is now up and running. Thanks to the many people like Lynn Green and Kayla, the people that thought of it in the first place. Thanks to all the people, the corporate sponsors and the individual sponsors that helped out here. Thanks to the town staff, many of whom have been mentioned, but many who have not, that worked really hard, especially when things threatened to go off the rails for a while. They wrenched it back on the rails, got it going anyway. So we are really, really happy about that. I think if nothing else is true, we know that this community, or any community, really can only be as good as we can imagine it being. And I am so thankful that we have good imaginers in our midst. Lynn Green, Kayla Becker, people like that who were able to see what this would be and what this could do for our community. So to all of them, I give a heartfelt thank you. And to all of the people that then backed up that dream by making financial gifts and sweat equity gifts, we thank you as well. It's a great day for Bennington, and I can't wait to see the water running.
I'll be quick. I shouldn't follow Don Campbell, I know that now. Lynn came to me some time ago with an idea and a sketch, and looking for a donation. And we saw that pretty quickly. It's not a donation, but an investment in a group, and in a group of people who wanted to do something in our downtown and improve it. And we'll do that every time we can. And this is an example of perseverance and what can be done when the community, the municipality, businesses, everybody pulls together. This wasn't easy. The thing across the way behind here isn't easy, but we're working on getting it done. And Bennington's going to be better for it. So to everybody who had a hand in this, thank you. Thank you for making Bennington better.
The television says the economy's dead. In Bennington, Vermont, we're moving ahead. If you want to succeed, you've got to believe in jumping and that's no joke. I'm beating the drum, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. We're Bennington, Vermont, and we're American made. Bennington, Vermont is hard to describe in 3 or 4 verses, but I'm gonna try to tell you about a place that you ought to know, and if you haven't been there, then you ought to go to Bennington, Vermont, Bennington, Vermont, Bennington, Vermont, Bennington, Vermont, yeah, anything you want, right here in Bennington, Vermont, Bennington, Vermont. Anything you want, right here in Bennington, Vermont. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody who worked on this park and did all the grunt work and put up with all this stuff that's, 2 years later we have ourselves a really, really beautiful park we can all be proud of and we'll get a lot of use out of. So.